worth of work is wiped out in a night.
We'll take a closer look at why the water rose so quickly.
See the storms and look at how it goes stationary right there.
There's only one way for water to leave, and it's out the river.
Hear new calls for a river warning system.
There needs to be flash flood warning sirens or something.
And take an aerial tour to see destruction from above.
From our nation's capital, this is the National Weather Desk.
Good morning and welcome to the National Weather Desk. I'm Angela Brown. The search continues this morning for those still missing in Central Texas more than 3 days after devastating floods struck that region. Here's the very latest information. At least 82 people are dead. 27 of them were campers and counselors at an all-girls camp along the banks of the river. 41 people remain missing. That number includes 10 children and a counselor from the camp. The local sheriff vows to continue search and rescue missions until everyone is accounted for. Now, President Donald Trump on Sunday signed a disaster declaration for that region. And unfortunately, the flood threat is not over yet. The entire area is under a flood watch as another 2 to 4 inches of rain may still fall. Joe DiCarlo begins our coverage with the ongoing search.
Words obviously can't describe it.
Frank Straza is a volunteer from Bandera who came to Centerpoint today to see if he could help in any way possible. He was able to connect with another group of volunteers who help with search and rescue operations. Multiple volunteer groups were along the river today, along with Alamo Area Search and Rescue, who searched alongside the river with cadaver dogs. Frank speaks to what he came across on the search.
The things that you do find out there, a hanger, like a clothes hanger from a tree branch like 30 feet in the air, just things that, I found a headband, and then you're just like, yeah.
Hundreds of volunteers are searching along the river, as well as multiple law enforcement agencies. The number of volunteers speaks volumes to the community here in the Texas Hill Country.
Everybody has come out. I mean, there's so many people volunteering and just looking and searching and coming together.
The Fort Worth Fire Department just released this video showing water rescues on Friday. One person was pulled from a partially submerged vehicle, and another shot a police officer on a roof can be seen pulling a person out of floodwaters right here. And the Coast Guard releasing this video showing rescues they carried out on Friday. You can see several people hoisted to safety after their homes were completely surrounded by floodwaters. They are safe this morning, but many others who live in the region say there should have been more warning about the flood. Phil Ingram has that part of the story.
If you look on that island over there, that's where the river naturally is.
He says people should have been warned on time, but some things might change in Ingram.
This stuff, I think they're going to realize that they don't need to be right on the river.
Ingram City Council member Ray Howard still remembers being out here when the flooding started on Friday morning.
You're standing in water right here.
This is where it was.
It was all the way up in here. Remember, I just picked up dead fish that was right over here.
Now he hopes something can be done for the future.
There needs to be flash flood warning sirens or something. We need something like that, and that's one of the things I'm going to push for.
And back in 2017, officials in Kerr County debated building a warning system along the banks of the Guadalupe River. It was rejected as too expensive. The Kerr County judge says taxpayers would not pay for it. Now, we want to show you video that shows just how fast the Guadalupe River rose. At 5:26 a.m., the water is starting to get a little choppy. 12 minutes later, you can see the water is now starting to come up onto the road. By 6:13, it's now a roaring river with massive waves and debris in the water. And all, the river rose 26 feet in less than an hour. And here are the estimated rainfall totals over the last 4 days. Most of the numbers are in the double digits. You have Kerrville approaching 15 inches. One area north of Austin has more than 22 inches. On Friday, meteorologist Chris Suchan explained why the storm brought so much rain.
And you see the storms developing into the hill country. Look at that stationary motion there. Then you had training. Then you had another wave of tropical downpours around this remnant circulation, which was Tropical Storm Barry. That right there, watch one more time here. See the storms and look at how it goes stationary right there. And those rainfall rates were hitting 2 to over 3 inches per hour at that time.
Now, there are multiple reasons why the flooding became so bad so quickly. San Antonio meteorologist Brad Schauder explains it may have to do with the geography of that area, as well as something called hydraulic jump.
It's a dam or a bridge or a roadway where water normally isn't going over top of it, but when it does, it creates an eddy, a violent eddy that sucks debris and anything flowing down the river right back into it, and it churns and it's violent, and anybody that's coming down or any debris gets trapped in it. You can't swim out of that. That's one reason why our rivers are so dangerous. Also, it's the fact of all of the water in the hills surrounding the area and how much water gets down into the rivers. So let's talk about that. Here in the hill country, we have very shallow soils, okay? Sometimes it's not even soil, it's just all limestone. All limestone. So here's Camp Mystic, and this is along the South Fork of the Guadalupe River. Here is the Guadalupe River is here on the South Fork, the North Fork of the river, and all in between that, there's only one way for water to leave, and it's out the river. See the white here? There's exposed limestone. So basically, this all part of Kerr County is like a giant parking lot. It's paved, but it's natural. Rains, all of the water collects and goes down the river. Camp Mystic here, right in line for major water rises. That's why these rivers can go from a foot to 30 feet in just an hour or two. They can be very, very dangerous.
In most areas, the flood waters have receded, and residents are now focused on cleanup and recovery. Jordan Elder spoke with the family after their home was nearly completely submerged by water.
The dining room table's over there. It was right here under the light, and now it's over there.
A layer of mud now covers everything in what the Donaghy family recently debuted as an Airbnb, booked through August.
5 years worth of work is wiped out in a night, about 45 minutes. So.
The house was built in 1935 and withstood several floods.
And to my knowledge, the river never got up to the house. It definitely never got inside the house before.
That changed when the Guadalupe River crested at more than 30 feet in this area. You could see its debris in a once beautiful backyard and its markings on the walls.
Stuff I don't recognize, it's not ours, that float in the window and move through the house.
Their reaction?
Crumbled. Horrible.
Yeah, that was hard. That was very hard.
And some of the beds are still made, but they floated a little bit, I guess.
And to fully appreciate the scope of the disaster, you need to see it from above. Darian Trotter shows us some of those remarkable images.
Recovery crews are fanned out removing debris, tackling what were once tall trees, now toppled over, uprooted and exposed. Roots that appear from the air to be much taller and wider than the cluster of recovery team workers on the ground. Not far away, RVs are scattered among trees lying on their sides, far removed from where they were once parked. Keep in mind, these were someone's temporary, if not more permanent homes, now washed away in an instant. So too are landmarks crumbled. As crews use heavy equipment to clear more fallen trees, cars can be seen crossing bridges that just days ago had flood water underneath, just inches away from the bottom of those bridges. Just about everywhere you look, in any direction, the aftermath tells the story of sudden devastation and despair, but also a story of determination from a community of people who, with the help of local, state, and federal resources, vow to rebuild.
And we also want to talk about what's left of Tropical Storm Chantel. Flood watches are posted for portions of eastern Virginia and Maryland, as the storm could bring up to 5 inches of rain. Yesterday, it dumped up to 10 inches of rain in parts of North Carolina. That brought significant flooding to homes in central North Carolina and damage to many roads. There were also 2 tornadoes, but no reports of any injuries. And coming up on the National Weather Desk, if you're heading out to a lake or other body of water, lightning strikes can be a real risk. We'll share tips for staying safe on the water.
I'm meteorologist Ryan Munn. As we get a look at the Northeast, we head through the day on Monday. We are looking at mostly dry conditions for many areas. Notice some scattered showers, some thunderstorms in some spots. Then a cold front will pass through during the late evening and nighttime, and that is going to cool our temperatures off for many spots for the day on Tuesday. As we take a look at Tuesday, you can see some scattered showers, some thunderstorms, especially in southern New England once again. High temperatures today topping out in the 80s and 90s for much of the Northeast.
I'm Chief Meteorologist Gerard Jabali. Here's a look at the Mid-Atlantic region. We are tracking the remnants of Tropical Storm Chantal. This is going to bring us at least some rain to the area as we move through your Monday and Monday afternoon. We'll likely see again scattered showers throughout the day as the disturbance rolls by. This cold front's going to be the next weather maker, and that's going to set up on Tuesday. Afternoon showers and thunderstorms each day, and we'll be looking at these chances lingering for several more days going into the week. Temperatures are going to heat up as we head into Tuesday, highs in the 90s.
I'm meteorologist Vitas Reed. Here's a look at your southeast forecast highs. It looks like Nashville, 93 degrees, 94 in Birmingham, a hot 94 in Atlanta, 97 in Macon, Jacksonville, 91 degrees, and about 90 in Tampa, 89 West Palm. It looks like we're seeing plenty of sunshine to start the day off across the parts of the southeast, but by the afternoon, you get pop-up showers around Tennessee, through parts of Mississippi, Alabama, stretching through the Tennessee Valley. You see down in South Florida, a little bit of pop-up afternoon scattered showers as well.
Weather Window, presented by the National Weather Desk.
1, 2, 3, 4 little bears and Mama Bear seen playing around on a North Carolina golf course. An eagle snags a fish on a Montana lake. And snapshots of Crater Lake in Oregon and its renowned blue waters. Crater Lake is the deepest lake in the United States, more than 1,900 feet deep, with Lake Tahoe the second deepest.
For more content like this, subscribe to the National Weather Desk's YouTube channel.
If you're headed out to a lake or other body of water, it's important to keep track of the weather and to know if storms are nearby. Meteorologist Sharon Ray explains how to stay safe from possible lightning strikes.
We all know how Missouri weather goes, and the weather can change very quickly here in mid-Missouri. We can go from sunny skies to storms within minutes. Here is a look at some information. First of all, lightning can be very dangerous, especially when you're on the lake, in the water. You could be the highest object in the area, and that does attract lightning, especially metal objects such as masts and antennas and things on boats. Those can attract lightning as well. So it's kind of dangerous to be out on the water. You have a better chance, although the chances are low, you still have a better chance to get hit by lightning. And keep in mind, July is the month we see the most fatalities nationwide from lightning strikes because of all the outdoor activities people are doing. So the first thing you need to do before you head out is make sure you're prepared. Know the forecast and have a way of seeing the radar or the weather information when you're out on the water. If you are out on the water, keep an eye on the sky, and remember, if you start to see dark clouds coming your way, if you hear thunder or see lightning, head to shore immediately. Lightning can strike, by the way, from blue sky, and it can strike from a pretty good distance from a nearby thunderstorm. So if you can't get out of the water fast enough, get down as low as you can in the boat. Once you're on the shore, get into a shelter, an enclosed shelter, and wait at least 30 minutes after the last lightning strike before you head back out and resume activities.
And we are now in the heart of summer, which means it's probably a good time to remind you about the dangers of rip currents. Meteorologist Veronica Johnson shows us how they develop and swimmers caught up in them need to do to stay alive.
One of the scariest things that can happen to you or your family when you're at the beach this summer is potentially getting caught in a rip current. So what exactly is a rip current, and how can you and your family stay safe? Well, a rip current is just that. It's a current or channel of water that moves from the beach out to sea, and it often carries swimmers with it. So what's the best way to stay safe? Well, remember, rip currents will carry you out, but they won't carry you under. So the first thing that you can do is to remain calm and not to panic. Don't fight the rip current. Try to swim parallel to the shore until you're out of the rip current, or at a diagonal to the shore until you're out of the rip current. The average width of a rip current is about 80 feet. That's about 10 surfboards. So eventually you'll get out of it. And if you can't escape, again, remember to stay calm, to float or tread water. You're not going to go under, and eventually you'll get out of that rip current. And of course, call for help when you can. You're going to be losing energy if you try to swim back to shore without swimming diagonally. And this summer, when you're at the beach, remember, don't swim unless there's a lifeguard on duty.
The coal mining industry has been hit hard through the years, but a program offers former miners a sweet deal for themselves and also the environment. Photojournalist Brad Rice has a story from West Virginia.
So Appalachian Beekeeping Collective was started in 2017. It was created to help families obtain sustainable income in the southern states where the economy took more of a hit during the downturn in the mining and the related industries. We provide them with the boxes, with the bees, and then mentors go out and help them as they're learning the trade. And then this time of year, we start to pull those boxes of honey off and bring them back to our facility in Summers County, where we extract it, scratch the wax tops off, and that'll allow the honey to be spun out. So you can see the honey getting slung out of the frames up against the side of this tank. And then it just drains down. We can open the valve when we're finished. All right, we'll open up the valve. This looks like a lot of tulip poplar. It's kind of a reddish cast, reddish amber. So this is our bottling room, and we have the tanks labeled by the variety: wildflower, tulip poplar, sourwood, locust. So this cloud here is little pieces of wax, and this screen will catch all that, and then the honey will just filter through down in the barrel. Everybody's garden and apple trees gets pollinated, but I think even a bigger picture in West Virginia, the forest gets pollinated. And we've only touched the surface of the amount of honey that West Virginia can produce.
And now to the state of Maine, where meteorologist Christian Bridges takes us on a mountain hiking adventure that's a challenge, but one that won't wear you out too much.
Let's hit the trail. This trail is located off Route 85 in Raymond. It starts off through a field, so bring bug spray and make sure to check yourself for ticks. After the field, the trail enters the woods, where it continues for the rest of the hike.
All right, we are just about under half a mile into the trail so far, and this is when it starts to get a bit strenuous. This is definitely a trail that you can bring your kids, the family on for sure, but just be aware there are definitely some more strenuous sections to it, so do not recommend doing it on a day as hot and humid as the day I'm doing it on.
While overall the hike is mostly pretty flat, there is a very steep section right before the first viewpoint.
About 20 minutes and just under 3/4 of a mile in, and we've got our first little view of the hike. That's Crescent Lake there and the surrounding hills. Beautiful view. It doesn't take too long to get up here, but it is quite strenuous, so keep that in mind. And there will be some rock scrambling, so hiking boots, probably not a bad idea to wear.
After passing the most strenuous section, just under a mile into the trail, you're rewarded with gorgeous views of the surrounding lakes and hills.
You can see 3 lakes. There's Sebago Lake, That's Panther Pond right there. And on the other side, that is Crescent Lake, which we could see earlier. So doesn't take that much work to be rewarded with a great view, although it is pretty strenuous, especially that part between about 1/4 and 3/4 of a mile. That's probably where the trail is the toughest.
After the view, the trail continues on into the woods towards the mountain summit.
And after just under 1 1/4 miles, you reach the summit of Rattlesnake Mountain, just over 1,000 feet in elevation. So not a very high mountain, but you do get almost 700 feet in elevation gain from the trailhead to here. So a good little workout, but nothing too strenuous.
And as we head to break, we fly over South Carolina's Waccamaw River.
Well, good Monday morning, everyone. I'm meteorologist Andrew Buckmichael. It's going to be warm and humid across most of the Midwest for the day today. Got some scattered thunderstorms as well, so make sure to stay weather aware for the day today. But most of us are going to top out in the 80s for highs across the Midwest for the day today. Closer to the 70s there across the Great Lakes. More scattered showers and storms as we head into the middle of the week as well, as it all slowly starts to move its way east.
Hey, good Monday morning. I'm meteorologist Stella Sun. High pressure will continue to dominate in the Pacific Northwest and bring warmer and drier conditions. Meanwhile, extreme heat is expected through parts of the desert Southwest, and monsoon moisture will swing its way in towards New Mexico and parts of the Mountain West there. Those temperatures will be climbing to 110 in Phoenix, 94 through Albuquerque, 90s through Portland and in Boise, and 88 degrees expected in Missoula. That's the scene from here.
You are watching the National Weather Desk.
We are into the thick of summer, often referred to as the dog days of summer. Meteorologist Dave Dirks explains the origin of this saying dates back hundreds of years.
Well, the dog days of summer are here, and I have some viewer pictures on how man's best friends are staying cool. Here's Hattie taking the plunge in Hampton, Tennessee, and I think Lucy may have the best seat in town, enjoying the cool breezes while relaxing in Chilhowie, Virginia. And here's Sachi enjoying the lake water at Hungry Mother Park in Marion, Virginia. Now, the dog days of summer refer to the hottest days of the season, but actually originated in ancient Greece and Egypt with the rising of Sirius, known as the dog star. Sirius is the brightest star in the night sky and part of the constellation Canis Major. Now, depending on the culture at the time, this coincided with a period of extreme weather or sweltering temperatures. The dog days of summer go from July 3rd to August 11th.
And we love to share your weather content on the air. You can find us on all your favorite social media platforms, including Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. Just search the National Weather Desk. We'll be right back. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Angela Brown. Make it a great day, and I'll see you right back here tomorrow.